So the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services is under pressure to issue more than 280,000 green cards by the end of September. In this video, we'll talk about the deadline to issue those visas by the end of September and why so many green cards went to waste. So if you're interested in this topic, I'll see you on the other side. Hello everybody, and welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you get the most up-to-date immigration news, immigration information, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey less stressful. My name is Jacob Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California, and I help clients in all 50 states and all over the world. In this video, we'll talk about the deadline that USCIS is facing September 30th to issue a surplus of green cards, and also we'll talk about the thousands of green cards that were wasted last year and how USCIS is going to deal with this waste this year. But before we do that, if you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to share this video with more people just like you. And of course, if you ever need my help, you can text me right here, 619-483-4549. I'm here to help you as well. So let's talk about the current green card crisis with USCIS. A record number of green card surplus is putting a huge pressure on the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services this year. The kind of pressure is that they have to issue those green cards before the end of the fiscal year, which ends on September 30th. As you know, the immigration fiscal year starts every year on October 1st. If you remember last year, more than 66,000 green cards went to waste, literally went to waste, because the agency were not able to issue them. And this was primarily because of the pandemic-driven backlogs and lack of staff on the USCIS side that really caused this big crisis in the waste of these green cards. However, this year, their workload is even bigger than last year. This year, they have 280,000 green cards that they have to issue before the end of the year. Compare that to 2021, where they only had 260,000 green cards that were supposed to be issued before the end of the fiscal year. Green card surplus is good news for a lot of employers that want to file for green cards for permanent residency for their employees, but also it's going to help a lot of these applicants from India and China who have been stuck in the backlog limbo for years. The green card surplus will help process their cases faster because there are going to be more green cards available per category and the backlogs are going to be reduced. I can tell you that, and a lot of immigration attorneys can say the same thing. There's been quite a lot of approvals in the past few months, and hopefully we're going to see more of those as we come to the end of the fiscal year. The reason there's so many employment visas available this year is, as you remember, in the past year or so, because of the pandemic, a lot of embassies and consulates were closed. They were not processing family petitions on a regular basis. And as a result, a lot of these family visas spilled over to the employment-based side, and now we have a surplus of employment-based green cards available to be processed. Typically, employment-based visas have a cap of 140,000, but because of the spillover from the family-based visas, we now see almost double the amount of those visas. USCIS officials recently reported that the backlog was not just because of the pandemic. It was because of lack of staffing, because of the organization itself couldn't handle the amount of petitions that were sitting to be processed, and they haven't even looked at some of these cases for over 6 months. So with the recent changes at the agency, getting more officers to work on cases, starting to cut through the backlog, they can see it's possible for them to be able to process all these green cards before the end of the year. If you remember in the previous years, because USCIS were not able to process all these green cards, many applicants, specifically from India and China, filed multiple lawsuits against the government to force them to process these applications. And as a result, the USCIS had to get their act together and start processing these green cards. As I mentioned in previous videos, USCIS have done a lot of things to be able to tackle this backlog. They've waived a lot of interviews, and we reported on this in previous videos. Employment-based green card interviews are continuing to be waived in big numbers as we speak, and so that's going to help a lot. They have more staffing coming in, they're more training. They have a system allowing people to file their applications online right now, which is going to help with processing times. And of course, eliminating the biometrics in many cases also helped result in faster processing of many of these green card applications. The biggest frustration that a lot of the applicants that have been waiting for their green cards is the fact that they are not able to predict the future. Specifically, applicants from China and India who've been waiting for the green card priority dates for years are feeling frustrated and even thinking about leaving the United States to go to other countries, because this is not a way to live, where you are sitting there waiting for years and years for your priority date to become current, and you're stuck at a job that you may not want and feeling really lost and without any hope. The idea that agencies now is getting more staff to process those cases, actually committed to being able to adjudicate and not waste green cards this year, and maybe in the next year or so cut through the backlog completely, so we'll see a faster movement of these petitions and green cards are going to be approved in a much faster way like they should be. But remember, even if the agency is going to be able to issue all these 280,000 green cards, it's not going to be enough. It's going to be a very small dent in this backlog crisis that we have, because we still have issues with the visa bulletin. We still have issues with people waiting for the priority dates to become current. It's not going to be enough just to issue those wasted green cards. More action must be taken to be able to fight the overall backlog of green cards, both on the family side and the employment side. Just to give you an idea, by the end of 2021, more than 800,000 petitions that were approved by USCIS were put on hold, waiting for the priority dates to become current, not be able to proceed with the green card process because their dates were not current. This is almost 1 million petitions that were approved by USCIS and are now sitting and waiting for their dates to become current, that it needs to be resolved sooner than later, because otherwise this crisis will continue to grow. The bottom line is that we have 280,000 surplus of green cards that must be processed by the end of the year, and USCIS almost guaranteed that they will be able to do so with their new measures of hiring more people, waiving interviews, and speeding the process overall. Bottom line is that more green cards that are being approved this year, moving more people from temporary visas to permanent residency, is good for the economy and is good for everybody. So hopefully these are good news. Let me know in the comments what you think. And once again, if you do need my help with any of your immigration matters, text me right here, 619-483-4549. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.